I've been super busy the past few weeks working 2 full-time jobs. I'm finishing up my time in the Air Force, and I started working for a game store repairing consoles, pricing them, and getting them out on the floor. So between both jobs, I've been putting in 80 to 90 hours a week. And that's pretty crazy because here in just a little over a month, I'm about to have no job at all. Not from lack of trying, I submitted applications to tons of places on LinkedIn, have 2 fire resumes ready to go, and I've done all these stupid tests for these companies, but it's like talking to a wall. But anyways, working for this game store, it's taught me some new things and confirmed things I already knew. For example, the reliability of some consoles. Out of NES, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo was the one most likely to have an issue of some sort. A lot of capacitors go bad in the console, causing bad visuals or sound. But that doesn't hold a candle to the original Xbox. With the original Xbox, out of I think over 10 consoles, only 3 were working initially. A lot of them are easy repairs, most of them were capacitors, but some of them were bad disk drives as well. I've also had to repair a lot of controllers, and the controllers I repaired the most of were Sega Genesis. But that's not saying Sega Genesis are the most unreliable controllers. Those ones I was at least able to repair. Controllers like the N64, obviously the sticks go bad a lot in those, and I was just unable to repair those without getting replacement sticks. And the Super Nintendo controllers required a lot of repair too. The shoulder buttons have really thin, fragile plastic up there, and a lot of them would break off. And I didn't have replacement parts for those either. Got some N64 consoles here. All of them are priced and ready to go except the front one, which was missing a memory cover. All of them have controller. The ice blue there has a matching controller. That's a really nice console. They have all their cables fully tested and ready to go. I did separate some expansion packs so there wasn't any confusion in pricing. The only one I left in was in the ice blue. And here's some Super Nintendo consoles. Only one loose in this lot. Some of the boxes have some issues, but there's some really cool ones like this one here. It's a Walmart exclusive. It actually has the guide in there for the Super Game Boy, which is really cool. But all these consoles are tested and working, and they're ready to go to the store out on the floor. Here are 3 Super Nintendo consoles that have issues. One is a 1-chip console, the actual 1-chip is bad in it. One has some capacitor issues, it just needs a recap job. The yellowed one there was used for parts. Here's a bunch more stuff I'm working on. We have N64 controllers and power bricks in here, Super Nintendo power cords and controllers, GameCube controllers and power supplies. In here, I have a bunch of Wii consoles with cords, all tested and ready to go, all priced. In here there's a bunch of PlayStation 1 and 2 controllers and AV cables and power cords that are all tested, ready to go. Sega Genesis tested and ready to go. And here's a bunch more PlayStation 1 and 2 stuff that I still gotta test. All these Sega Genesis consoles are tested, ready to go. And in this bin we have a bunch of Wii stuff that still needs to be gone through. So when I first started collecting, I collected anything and everything. Any console, any time frame, didn't matter. Nowadays I mostly collect just Nintendo. But working for this game store, it's not all about repairing stuff, it's about testing everything, making sure it's good to go out on the floor. And I still have some of the consoles here that are ready to go out on the floor, but as much as I've collected over the years, this is the first time I've ever touched a couple of these consoles. One of those consoles being the Intellivision. This thing is pretty cool. I've never even seen one in person till now. I don't know why, they've just always evaded me. And another cool one to see is the Atari Jaguar. This was a competitor to the Super Nintendo, and it was really interesting messing with this. The controller's really weird. There's not a lot of games for this system. It was a flop console, but it is really cool to see one. One of the consoles that shocked me the most was the Nintendo Wii. Every Wii I tested worked. Now the controllers, they're a different story. Some of the Wiimotes and nunchucks had some issues. But the consoles themselves, they all work flawless. But anyways, with all the hours I've been putting in, I obviously haven't felt like making a YouTube video. And today was no exception. I wasn't planning on making a video or anything like that. All I wanted to do today was just take a day off of everything. I wanted to play games and do nothing else today. So being that I don't have a game room, all my games are stacked in boxes. And I didn't feel like pulling all the boxes out to look through every game and figure out what I wanted to play. But luckily, I had a multi-cart sitting around. And I just decided to go the easy route and pop this bad boy in. So this cart has 143 games on it. Some of them were Japanese release games that were ported to English, like Sweet Home. But as I'm scrolling through trying to figure out what to play, I come across this really odd title of a game. And that game is called Time Diver Eon Man. And I'm like, Time Diver Eon Man? Like, was that a Japanese exclusive game? I'd never heard of it before. I've heard of a lot of unreleased games. I've played a few of them, like Bioforce 8. But this particular game, I've never heard about until today for some reason. And I ended up turning it on, skeptical as could be, and I ended up playing all the way through the game and beating it. And then I stopped, went to eat some dinner, and I got the urge to play it again. So then I just decided to play through it again and make this video. So let's check it out. Time Diver Eon Man was developed by AI and published by Taito. Originally set to be a sequel to The Wrath of the Black Mana, Time Diver was a fully completed game set to release in 1993. However, it was cancelled at the last minute, so sadly, it never hit store shelves. If it was released, we know it would be another one of those multi-$1,000 games needed to complete a full set. Just like all the other good Taito releases like Little Samson, Panic Restaurant, and Power Blade 2. Here's the story. 60 years in the future, the world is virtually crime-free thanks to the clear system invented by Kane Nelson. That is, until a secret organization called Romadrux decides to challenge the system by unleashing a plague of crime. In order for them to be successful, they have to go back in time and prevent the clear system from being invented. Dan Nelson, Kane's father, is attacked by the Romadrux warriors in 1993. During the attack, he learns about his future son Kane, and he makes a vow to protect his family past, present, and future, thus becoming the Time Diver Eon Man. There are 5 levels in the game, set at different points in time. You'll start off the game in peaceful 1993. An interesting thing I learned about the game by playing through it twice is the levels after level 1 are randomized. So each playthrough can be different. Besides peaceful 1993, you'll also visit the Wild Wild West in 1882, a devastated future 2052, a devastated 1993, and a peaceful 2052. Each level has a final boss. These bosses have some of the most basic, predictable patterns I've ever seen. Once you learn their simple patterns, they're no trouble at all. After you beat each level, you'll have a cutscene and earn a new weapon. These weapons include a laser that can be fired at enemies, Digger to let you go through dirt, Earthquake which will kill all enemies on the screen, Stopwatch which will freeze all enemies, and Flash which you get right before the final boss. It's just a giant light that lights up the whole screen. Weapons require power. Each weapon uses a different amount of power. One downfall in the game is needing some weapons to advance through the level. During my first playthrough, I got stuck in a level because I used all my weapon power, so I wasn't able to dig, which was required to get through the stage. The only option was to purposely let Eon Man die and start over. Enemies drop weapon power and they respawn, but the area I got stuck in didn't have any weapon power drops. Besides your special weapons, you have a weapon on you for close range attacks. It works pretty good, but it's not useful for overhead enemies. One mechanic in the game I really like is being able to scale walls by jumping back and forth. There are many games with this feature, but the controls in this game work flawlessly for the action. As for the graphics and sound, they're good, but they feel dated. This game was supposed to be a late release, but it doesn't look or sound as crisp as any other title releases at the time period. So yes, they're good, but like 1990 good, not 1993 good. And although this game was completely finished, there are parts that don't feel finished. For example, there's no music in the opening story, so it doesn't really set the tone for the game. And the final boss seems like he was supposed to do more moves. Like right here, he jumps like he's gonna slam down his fist, but in the end he just does a meaningless jump. Other than the minor flaws I highlighted, the game is really fun. The difficulty level is just right. If you do happen to struggle in the game, it does have unlimited continues. It's not too long, overstaying its welcome, but it's not too short either. Although I did find myself wanting to play it again a couple hours after I beat it, and that's why I decided to make this review. This is one of my new favorites for the NES. I'm kinda sad it never officially released. To me, this is a true hidden gem, and I recommend giving it a shot. So yeah, I found the game on this multi-cart right here. It's called the 100 Best Video Games. And the top says Super Games 143 in 1. And you can find it on eBay for about $40 to $50. Here's a closer shot of what the label looks like. You can also find a standalone version of the game. It's a reproduction, and you can find that for about $25. But I would recommend getting a multi-cart because there's a lot of other great games on that. Hopefully this video helped you discover a great game like I discovered a great game. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Gamer Wayne, and thanks for watching.